if you are the guy who wants to build AI, then you
Yes,
need
yes.
to start an AI development, start, at least from understanding how language models work, how reasoning works. Vibe coding is like dealing with children. It's with people in general, right? I mean,
Most people behave like kids.
yeah. The work that I would put in instructing the team and helping with the team, now I need to do that with AI. So it's no longer, a good vibe. And then you're babysitting a bunch of AIs instead of, people.
Maybe a good way of thinking about all of this is that treat AI as a college intern. You have to look over the shoulder and you have to provide proper instructions, and then it'll do a decent job.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our new episode of Architect's Lens podcast. With me, as always, Savinder, and myself, Nenad, trying to bring you, all hot topics from the world of technology, development, architecture, and corresponding culture. Today's topic is vibe coding. This is something we hear about a lot. We read about a lot. There are a lot of pros and cons, and we're here to look at those through the architect's lens. Savi, what's your take? What's your feedback so far on vibe coding? Is it a new thing, or is it something that is kind of here to stay?
Let me start off saying I like the vibe of vibe coding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and I was thinking about it yesterday, right? How do I describe vibe coding to somebody who's never
Mm-hmm.
done it, right?
Okay.
And it's like asking my 12-year daughter to clean up her room.
Okay.
If you
I
just
get
say,
it.
can you go clean up your room? And you go to a room half an hour later, sure, the
Yeah.
room will be clean, but the moment you open a cupboard, everything's going to come out.
Yeah. And she said that she is vibe cleaning, right?
Exactly. It's just vibe cleaning. Exactly. So
Yeah.
she'll probably do the job, but
Yeah.
you know where the mess is hidden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't. Yeah, I would assume that you would also say, okay, the room is not cleaned up, but there is kind of a partially clean. But then you see her doing something else. Oh, I started with that, but then I saw that this needs to be done. Then I saw
Yes.
that this else needs to be
And
done.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it actually behaves like a kid, It starts doing something, gets distracted very fast, and then
Yeah.
starts doing
Yeah.
that very well. And then you have to prompt it enough. You have to say, hey, if you're
Yeah.
cleaning the room, make sure you stack the clothes, put them in the cupboard. This is
Yes.
where the
Yes.
clothes go. This is
Fold them
where,
like this. Fold them like
yeah, fold them like
yeah.
this. Two folds only, stack them one on top of the other. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is where the cosmetics go. This is where everything else goes, step by step. Then kinda hopefully works.
I mean, as for kind of comparisons go, this is kind of I would say, kind comparison, right? Because you would say,
Mm.
okay, vibe coding is like dealing with children, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, again, my experience is that it's with people in general, right? I mean,
Most
I
people behave like kids.
yeah, I mean, when I start doing something, whether cleaning up the room or yeah, I tend to trail off, right? And especially if you're doing some kind of app development or something, you kind of tend to, I want to move stuff quickly, so I do a little bit of that, I do a little bit of this, I do it, I jump around, and basically, I need to force myself to kind of, stay focused. This is how I kind of see it, right? But that is not to say that there's no outcome out of it, right?
Yeah.
Have you been white coding?
Yes, and two different sorts of use cases,
Mm-hmm. Again?
right? One is where I'm just doing it for the fun of it, just
Mm-hmm.
seeing if I can make something quick and dirty,
Yeah.
not enterprise grade,
Yeah.
right?
Yes,
But I
something
just
like
want to play around with it.
yeah.
right? And the second is where I'm seeing, hey, can I produce something of enterprise grade which
Hmm.
I can understand
Yeah.
and which I can personally maintain after that?
Okay.
And that part is tough, because
Yeah.
beyond a point it starts putting in so much code that you have to put a lot of guardrails around it,
Yeah. I agree.
because then it goes on a complete tailspin and puts in hundreds of lines of code or
Yeah.
terraform code or helm charts and then goes berserk,
Yeah.
and then I have no clue what the heck happened.
I would say, looking at this kind of process, right? It's basically that normal, let's call it development cycle timeline, is
Hmm.
condensed, right? So what do I mean by that, right? If you want to get, just lines of code, right, from your development team, they would stretch this thousands of lines of code into a week or two, right?
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
would be able, to observe pace correct in normal time, right? But when you get an output from an agent that in, one session or one prompt is change, 20 files,
yeah,
services, I don't know, help chart, whatever, then you need to review that, right? So he
correct.
produced code in 5 minutes that will take you hours to look over, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Right? And but you don't want to stop the vibe, right? So you
yeah,
will from that,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
you're riding that vibe wave, right? And you end up like your vibe coding section of few
mm,
hours, and you get like thousands and thousands of lines of
correct,
code,
correct.
and how can you validate that what's being done is correct, secure, usable, right? So I think there is this time issue, right? We cannot, let's say, check or validate what the model has produced.
And I have a different point of view, right?
Yeah, please do.
Because it is vibe coding, why do
Okay.
I have to go and validate that? Because that's the whole point, right?
Yeah,
I say something and it should do it, and then it should be able to maintain itself. And I say, hey, this is not working. Can you go fix it? It
yeah,
should happen. I mean, that's the whole point, right? If
yeah,
I
but
have to validate everything, then might as well write it on my own. Then why? It's killing the vibe right there.
yeah, it's giving the work. But that's the problem, right? I mean, you assume a lot, right?
Yeah.
If he creates it, he should be able to maintain it, right? Well, wrong.
No, not
You
yet.
know,
Not today.
not yet, not
Not
yet.
yet.
Yeah, no, I have a situation where he just, like creates duplicate classes, right? He names them
Mm,
differently, but the
okay.
functioning is the same.
Mm,
And he just prays the code all over, whether it's
mm,
doing the same stuff or something new in a slightly different way.
mm.
He doesn't take care of engineering, right? It just
Yeah,
codes.
yeah,
It just produces codes. Whatever it is on top of it, it's mine, right? Okay, it's mine,
yeah.
whatever. And this is the problem. And you need to put a lot of guardrails.
Yeah.
And but it's I kind of feel that it's similar to, like, if you're working with a team of people, different expertise, right? You need to put in the guardrails as well, right?
Mm.
Because and you need to provide clear instructions, like what do you want this system to do, what do you want this use case to do. And you are no longer than a coder doing the vibe coding. You are doing, vibe, technical leadership,
Yeah.
vibe
Vibe picking.
architecture, what, yeah,
Yeah.
vibe, team management, product ownership. You just
Correct.
need to be on top of everything, right? And again, since the speed is so tremendous,
Mm.
there's a lot of stuff kind of going being thrown in your way that you need to.
So I'll give you an example. I was watching a podcast yesterday,
Okay.
and this is with an Indian guy who does a lot of YouTube and who's a
Mhm.
professional programmer and
Okay.
who does freelancing,
Okay.
right? So he's known as a fairly technical guy, right?
Hmm.
He called up a stand-up comedian who
Okay.
is an engineer but who hasn't coded in last 12, 15 years and
Okay.
is a professional stand-up comedian today.
Okay.
right? And the
So,
topic was, can we wipe code?
okay.
Right? And the goal was they were trying to create a coin flip app using
Okay.
Solana.
Okay.
Solana is that blockchain
Yeah, yeah,
platform, right?
yeah.
Yeah, so you flip the coin, if it matches, or if you get two similar heads or tails in a row, then you earn some Solana points. Otherwise, you deduct something like that,
Okay. Okay.
right? And they did that for the goal was create that app using Cursor in 1 hour.
Okay.
The interesting point was that three times within that 1 hour, this guy who's the programmer and who's the techie,
Yeah.
he said, hey, let's start from scratch because it's better to start from scratch rather than fix the nonsense this guy's created.
Okay.
So start again. So we
Yeah.
have the prompt, we missed this and this and this. Let's add this in the prompt and start from scratch again.
Okay.
That was interesting because they did it thrice. And
Okay.
finally, at the end of an hour, they said, hey, this is bullshit. Give me the code, give me 1 hour, I'll fix everything and we'll make the app running.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what happened.
And this is, I think, similar to kind of my experience, right? I can let, like Cursor run and code for an hour or two, right?
Hmm.
And then I will take 1 hour to fix the stuff he got wrong, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And at the end of those 3 hours, I do have like more than just me doing the work for 3 hours, right?
Hmm.
So there is, I believe, some time saving, especially in less complex tasks, right?
Hmm.
If I have I don't know, a database model and I want a data transfer object, I want a controller, some
Hmm.
basic service fund, it will save me a lot of time on that kind of boilerplate code, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If there is a lot of complex business logic that needs to go into the code, then it's fixing time. Then I need to step in afterwards, and but I believe that with enough guardrails,
Hmm.
like focused instructions, right?
Hmm.
Uh, you can actually get value. It will not be bunch of garbage, right?
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you a question slightly differently, right?
Mhm.
The whole uh, point of vibe coding, or one of the premise of vibe coding, is that a non-developer will now be able to code.
Okay.
How true do you think is that?
Today, very not
Today,
true.
and okay, let me caveat that. Not complex enterprise grade large scale applications. Let's put that in context, right? But
Mhm.
basic things, uh, let's say simple to medium level complexity, but a non-coder who doesn't have an engineering background, who's never coded in life, will he or she be able to code?
Well, for instance, if we look just uh, the tools like Cursor or those
Mhm. Cursor,
agentic,
Replit,
yeah, yeah,
Lovable, one of those.
I don't think so, right? There is, I believe, for a non-coder or a non-technical person, there needs to be kind of a layer of abstraction, right?
Hmm.
In terms like there needs to be an additional AI orchestrator that will do or orchestrators, agents, whatnot. Because, for instance, if I put myself in a non-technical role, I want some kind of app. I'm just concerned about user experience, UI.
Correct. Yeah.
What do I need to input, and how will I get the
Hmm.
outcome? What I
Hmm.
want out of that, right? And Cursor and all that kind of tools don't give you that. They just drag you into the technical part. It's for the
Hmm.
developers that I believe, right? So far, I mean, what you have in those terms are like those low code platform or those like automation
Hmm.
engines, right? Um which are now infused with AI and agents,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
And they can then probably you know give you this feeling of, I'm a non-technical person. I will, give some instructions, and then stuff will happen, right? Like, I don't know, if I don't know what could be the use case. The automation use cases are like, when my email comes, send me a message on WhatsApp with a
Mm.
summary of the email, and maybe, send a response to the guy who sent me the message saying, I don't know what, etc. Right? If I wanted, and this is like, and you can do that fairly easily now with those automation platforms that have AI, where he
Yeah.
would automatically
Mm.
integrate your email with WhatsApp, with
Mm.
something else, and then you could have I would say, sense of accomplishment that you built something new, right?
But it's
Uh,
not really.
it's not really, right? But building like, app from scratch for a non-technical person, I think it would be quite difficult, challenging, right? And
Okay.
again, maybe the prototype would be
Mm.
fine.
Mm. Mm. Just to
Uh,
showcase something.
yeah, just to showcase, but not like put it out there. I don't know, deploy it, because
Okay, let me
yeah.
talk about one use case which I had seen a couple of years back.
Yeah.
Right, so this was working with the scientists in um so these are a bunch of data scientists, and they used to generate ML algorithms on Jupyter notebooks.
Mm-hmm.
Right, the problem statement was all of these Jupyter notebooks are running on their individual laptops.
Okay.
They didn't have, and there was no, everything was local to their laptop, so if the laptop crashes, everything goes.
Yeah.
Right, so as part of that assignment, what we had done was we had created central pipelines, stuff like that, put their
Mm-hmm.
code into a source control system, build a pipeline, and that kind of stuff. Right, but
Okay.
that solved only a part of that problem, where the code is located centrally, it's getting built, and an artifact produced
Mhm.
centrally. One problem which was still unsolved at that point was there was no way to beautifully visualize that code. Jupyter
Okay.
output is still sad looking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and they, because these were only data scientists, they were looking for small apps which you can plug in this data into and which will visualize things very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Maybe today these guys using a cursor or a lovable can create things like that. That's one
Okay.
use case which comes to my mind. What do you think about it?
I mean, this is the use case I kind of did also myself, and it was like a half a day thing where I needed to kind of process and visualize. Basically, it was cloud expenses from
Hmm.
different services from the cloud, and what I got from the cloud provider,
Hmm.
remaining unnamed, is like usages
Hmm.
for a specific service per hour, right? And I
Okay.
wanted to see how was my, weekly consumption rate per
Tracking it.
service.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tracking, right? So it was a lot of CSV data, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it was a pain. And
Correct.
it was quite an easy feat where I built an app
Yeah. Yeah.
in Python that will visualize that. I could upload
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
continuously new files that were provided by the cloud provider, and somebody else using the same cloud provider can now open this app, share the data, and it will get cloud expenses by week, by service, by whatever, right?
Hmm.
And it
Hmm.
was really, really easy, right? In terms
Yeah.
of, okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
it took me just like half a day for coding and getting it up and running. Again, I would not say that this is enterprise grade level of
Yeah. Yeah.
deployment.
It's not.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
But
to
still.
really quickly provide me with the information I need. Do I have some rising trends in
Hmm.
expenses? It's really, really kind of a good use case, right?
Yeah. 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 Okay.
And
Let's. Sorry. Go ahead. I'll let you
no,
continue.
and again, I would say with kind of issues I solved with the cursor.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt that non-technical person would be able,
Mm. Able to solve it.
to.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it would take them much more time. I don't
Hmm.
know, but it is you need to kind of put in some of your knowledge and effort, kind of to again steer the agent, steer the
Hmm.
model to kind of give you what you actually need, right?
So I think in summary, what we are saying is today, as we stand around midish April 2025 April, it's probably not for serious programming if you're a non-coder,
Yeah.
right? If you are a guy who can code and is using coding today with the right guardrails and with the specific prompt, and if you try and do smaller use cases, pointed things, this can help you accelerate. Is that a fair summary?
And that is a fair summary. But I mean, I've been thinking about it kind of a lot because, with all of this now, AI tooling and everything, and I do believe that, for instance, uh, this vibe coding or coding with AI
Hmm.
does help me improve kind of my productivity.
Yeah.
I've been working with a bunch of different teams doing different kind
Hmm.
of work, granted in more complex environments.
Hmm.
There is this effort that you need to put in, from a role of architect, right?
Hmm.
Doing things with the team, guiding them to deliver something by specs, to keep the documentation, consistent and always up to date.
Hmm.
You need to prompt them, you need to instruct them, and you need to do this repeatedly, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because those are things that people don't like to do. So you need to
Correct.
kind of, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But doing that, so the same principle, right, applied to the agents,
Hmm.
uh, which in turns means that I have files and files of basic rules, guardrails,
Hmm.
instructions that are added basically to every single prompt, both for keeping the documentation to stay on focus, to do that, right? But in the end, it increases my productivity, right? And
Yeah.
I am more or less successful in keeping the quality and the
Hmm.
seriousness, right, of what is delivered. But it does. I mean, it's no longer vibe coding, right? It's
Yeah.
work,
That's not vibe. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The work that I would put in instructing the team and helping with the team. Now I need to do that with AIA. So it's no longer, a good vibe. It's work. You need to put in
Yeah.
work. And then you're babysitting a bunch of AIs instead of, people.
So
But
I
yeah,
was reading a blog and it said maybe a good way of thinking about all of this is that treat AI as a college intern.
yeah.
You have to look over the shoulder and you have to provide proper instructions, and then it'll do a decent job.
And this is
Hmm.
again a comment, right? And this is my view. I mean, maybe it's not popular, but we do tend to say, okay, AI is like, I don't know, a junior developer, or I don't know,
Hmm.
a student, or But I've seen seniors that
I
will,
know where you're
you
going
know,
with this.
go of course, will not write documentation. You'll need to,
Yeah.
ask them 20 times,
Hmm.
can you, like explain, right? Share them. How did you come to that? Why did you start working on this totally different thing, which was not?
Hmm.
So I do think that, again, people have those characteristics as well. It's not,
Yeah. Yeah.
it doesn't, you know, uh, uh, it's not constrained to juniors or what.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody does it, right? So it's,
Correct. Yeah. No,
but
fair point.
yeah, we
Okay.
tend to say, junior developer or
Yeah. Yeah.
intern, but yeah, seniors are there as well.
So, okay. So, one more thing I wanted to talk to you.
Yeah.
Uh, let's say this whole AI business, let's say the way it is changing and maturing, right?
Hmm.
If we extrapolate it to maybe 1, 2, 3 years, right? Let's say it
Okay.
matures quite a lot and you can genuinely vibe with it and it's not hallucinating, it's not putting that
Hmm.
much garbage out and you can work with it. Let's fast forward 2 more years,
Okay.
right? Do you think the role of a developer then, if that happens, if and when that happens, does it change from somebody who's writing code to somebody who's reviewing and making more architectural decisions? And then, if I can call the grunt work of coding being done by AI, do you think we'll reach that stage where you're the architect and is saying, hey, you go do this, you go do that, you go do that,
Yeah.
let me sit back and wait and review?
So probably, like what will happen is that you will get more, let's call them AI coders in terms of
Hmm.
developing and building AI features,
Right.
and it will not be like a question or build an app to, I don't know, manage my to-do list, right?
Hmm.
It will be build an AI that will do
Hmm.
it to
Do
do
this.
management for me, right? And AI will handle the coding of to dos, right? And you
Right.
will need
Right.
to kind of build the AI or AI like features that
Hmm.
support that. It's like you have or you will get this highly advanced tool that will, take over certain activities that were now for coders or
Hmm.
engineers,
Hmm.
and you will be doing, let's call it higher level stuff, right?
So yeah.
uh, I don't think that the need for developers will, you know uh, be diminished, or we will need less developers. I think quite contrary, we will
Hmm.
need more, but they will not be doing the same stuff
The
that,
role will change. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and kind of a shift will be okay if AI can build me web page and update content automatically. Maybe I don't need to build, I don't know, WordPress and invest in WordPress. Maybe
Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
just have an AI who will, generate web apps and content for the web app by himself. But I will need to build that kind
Fair
of a.
point. No, no, fair. I understand what you're saying. So if I am somebody who wants to prepare for that future,
Hmm.
right, skill wise, right,
Okay.
what do I need to do to be ready for that time? Because I think what I'm hearing is that
Wait.
that I don't have to do, it'll happen automatically. I'm saying
Yeah.
proactively, what can I do?
Yeah.
See, waiting and gray hair happens
Yeah, yeah,
automatically.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's not much. But do you focus less on, let's say, the syntax and more on system design, system thinking, and less
Yeah.
worry about syntax? Is that the right way to think about it?
In terms, you can say, okay, if my role would be to communicate with AI, then I would say, yeah, you need to kind of do the system thinking. So you need to be
Hmm.
able to give to the AI what currently it lacks.
Yeah,
And
and
this is
write
where
good
you,
English. Yeah,
yeah, and
write
right,
good English.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But also, if on the other hand, if you are the guy who wants to build AIs, right?
Yeah.
This is
Okay.
this is different ballgame, right? Then you
Yes.
need
Yes.
to, start, in current AI development, start, at least from understanding how language models work, how reasoning works, how
Hmm.
you can, I don't know, retrain a model, how you can
Hmm.
extend the model with some features, and this is where you should focus. Granted that, it is still quite expensive to build, foundation models, but at
Yeah.
least you
Yeah.
can start playing with that, with what you have, in terms of understanding the logic of how
Hmm.
those AI systems work, right? And this is definitely something that will, in my view, not be wasted knowledge,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I agree. And
And
a lot of people that we meet are not clear communicators. I'm trying to put it mildly now. I'm choosing my words very carefully
yeah,
now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I hear you. Yeah,
Yeah.
not good
And
communicators. Yeah,
yeah, and person to person you can still manage because you can work around and you
yeah,
can take them for beer and chicken wings and it solves a lot of problems. We have done that.
yeah.
but how important is clarity of thought and clarity of being able to communicate to AI? Because if that communication is not precise and accurate with guardrails, that thing will mess up. So do you think,
Yeah.
is that also an important skill to develop?
I mean, why are we not asking this question when communicating with people? Because the answer is the same. Yeah, we do need, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But we're now, kind of focused. Okay, AI
yeah.
can, mess up. Yeah, but people also, right?
People also, yeah, yeah, of course.
When people mess up because there is, faulty communication channel or
Yeah,
the,
yeah, but
I mean,
people are
it's the
not
same.
learning because of people. Maybe they'll learn because of AI. That's where I
Yeah.
was coming from.
Yeah, because this AI is still treated as a machine, right? Machine
Yeah,
has a
yeah,
manual, right? So for this
correct.
machine to be, to give you more better output, greater quality, you need to provide them with good instructions. They need to be clear, concise, to the point, etc. Right? But we never think that, yeah, this is also true for
True.
communicating with people, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But okay, maybe as you said, maybe this will teach us, right, how to speak
yeah,
to
yeah.
people. This
Okay.
is quite a sorry. This is kind of I don't know, thing that is starting to slightly annoy me. Right? We
Hmm.
tend to, okay, oh, AI can mess up. AI can, hallucinate or lie to you, right? Yeah, but so
Yeah.
can people. you know,
True. Yeah.
and then I would even, kind of at maybe at a greater rate, right, in terms of quality of information
Hmm.
you receive from people, like in general, right, is maybe more questionable than what you get as a response from AI.
Yeah, yeah, true, true.
One thing I would just like kind of a summary from my side.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's do
Vibe
that.
coding, vibe is good. It can help you, be more productive. But there are, constraints. There are things you need to think about. How you set your rules, how you set your guardrails, and of course, you need to be kind of aware that there will be investment needed in time to fix stuff, right?
Hmm.
Think of yourself, as a senior developer who received work from his juniors. You need to review it.
Hmm.
You will fix it. You will, try to optimize it, and this is kind of what's happening. The other thing is that everything is happening in shorter time
Yeah,
cycles, right? The
yeah.
amount of code you receive in 5 minutes is worth of days of going over, right?
Hmm.
So that's something to be mindful. And that's my kind of grain of salt.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think my perspective is, this is nothing to be afraid of.
True.
In fact, it's a bandwagon that is worth considering seriously.
Yeah.
And think of it as a productivity aid. Experiment, go out, try different tools, see
Yeah.
what works in your environment, and have fun with it.
Yeah.
Because this thing is here to stay. It'll only get better. And this is probably the worst vibe of the vibe coding. It'll only get better from here.
Yeah.
So
Let's see. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. You need to get on the vibe train, right? And
yeah,
don't
yeah,
lose the
exactly.
vibe. Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree. Savi, thank you for the session. And yeah, thank you all for listening and joining in. And see you next time in the new edition of Architect's Lens. Savi, take care.